Christian Schulz is Deputy Chief European Economist at Citi. Christian, welcome. Good to see you. What do you make of these latest figures for the Eurozone, and what do they indicate about Europe's economic health?
Hi, thanks for having me on the show. It's a mixed bag. I think that's become clear in the reporting that you just provided. It's overall surprisingly strong, but especially when it comes to France, I have doubts about the underlying strength here. Domestic demand in France was weak. It was just net exports, and I think some of the reasons were already given on that. And if you look at the latest French data, business confidence and so on, since the elections, the outlook in France isn't good. The standout story is clearly Spain, and to a degree also Italy. Spanish economy growing very fast. The Spanish economy benefiting from the tourism recovery still, from services, from ample labor reserves, it looks. Italy also benefiting from a construction boom, which doesn't seem to be stopping. And then, of course, you've got Germany, which is really struggling, and that probably deserves a little bit more attention and then just a quick answer.
Give us the wider landscape then, if you would. I mean, how does the Eurozone's economic performance compare to other major economies and fit in against the United States and China for the same period?
Well, the United States grew at roughly double the pace than the Eurozone, and China at 4 times the pace of the Eurozone. So from that perspective, you could already say that the Eurozone growth is disappointing. Of course, each economy has a different speed limit. That depends on, the structural state and the state of development. China will obviously grow faster because it's still catching up in a way. The US has stronger population growth, for example. So there are some structural issues that explain the growth differences. But it's also, of course, especially when you compare the US and China, the US and the Eurozone, a big difference in demand growth simply. The US is stimulating its demand still. There's still large budget deficits boosting demand in the economy, whereas Europe is much more restrictive. And I think that also explains a little bit the difference between those two economies.
Given that, what should policymakers prioritise in Europe in the coming months on the basis of these figures that we've been talking about?
I think there's no one solution to the malaise, and as we should be pointing out, not everything is looking bad, especially when it comes to the southern European countries. Things look actually much better than they used to over the last 10 years or so. So clearly, when you talk about Germany, structural reforms are necessary. We need to boost labor supply, whether that's via immigration or incentives for the domestic population to work more. Of course, technology of political activity of decisive leadership, not just at the national level, but also at the European level, to take us forward in this very difficult world. And then lastly, I think energy. We need cheaper energy. We need to build out what we've already done over the last 2 years, secure cheap energy to boost the industrial sector in particular.